Hello there friends and welcome. Today's Pathfinder guide is all about my updated Nenio build. With this build, your Nenio will become a very versatile spell sword type of character, capable of not only fighting the enemies at melee, with rich weapons for safety and nice damage, and also buffing and some very powerful crowd control spells, including the ultimate illusion instant death spells, that will work even against bosses including demon lords. My first Nenio build was mostly just a caster. With this one I wanted to do something more, so your Nenio will not have to stand at the back firing a crappy crossbow during a lot of battles, all the while making use of the super unique Death's Consonant Bardiche that lets your attack rolls and also damage scale based on intelligence for lots of fun. So without further ado, let's get started on our Nenio Fighter Mage build. We are going Eldritch Knight, so we need to keep Scroll Savant until around level 5, so let us do just that. Be sure to increase Nenio's intelligence until around level 20, which is when you increase dexterity, so it doesn't end up as an odd score. For skill points, certainly Knowledge, Arcana and World, as they're based on intelligence. You might also increase all of the lore skills, then Nature and use Magic Device. Later we'll also get to increase Lore Religion, so Nenio can become a true lore master not just in name, but also gameplay wise. As far as spells, please remember that I already have a guide of the best arcane spells, both buffs, crowd control, debuffs and damage spells that you can check to the side here or in the pinned comments down below. Also, Nenio is a wizard, which means she can learn spells from scribing scrolls, so you are not limited to just the spells I'll be picking on through here. But anyways, she doesn't start with Grease, which is a sin for the early game, so we'll have to remedy that. Be sure to pick both Grease and Glitter Dust as early as possible, as these spells are the best crowd control for the early game, and even a lot of Chapter 2 as well. For level 5, because we want Eldritch Knight as soon as possible, we need Martial Weapons Proficiency. Now, early game Nenio won't have the best AB because she doesn't have Weapon Finesse, and pretty low Strength. However, even as early as level 5, you can already give her a Rich Weapon, which means she can attack safely behind your other allies and tanks, especially when enlarged, and she can enlarge herself through her own spell buffs. Plus, through Eldritch Knight, she'll soon get enough attack bonus and also buffs to easily hit anything. For more spells, haste 100%, not even bards or skalds can get haste so early. And then, well, heroism unless you have a bard or skald, but be sure to pick displacement too so you have something to slot for her illusionist slot. As always, remember you can get scrolls to learn the other spells fast. For level 6 is when I would get started into Eldritch Knight. I do think Nenio this way is way more efficient than going full crowd control focused at the early game. You get a bonus combat feat at level 6, and I would go for Improved Initiative because this can help both Nenio's martial and also spellcasting side. For level 7, outflank just in time for all your medium base attack bonus characters including pets. Then resume progression into Wizard, as Eldritch Knights have a dead caster level at level 1. For more spells, Tense Vitals and Greater Magic Weapon. For level 8 we get our first level 4 spells, and I'd go with Greater Invisibility and Phantasmal Killer. If you have a Shaman or a Witch like CAVALIER or Ember in your party, at this level they can already use Evil Eye to reduce all enemy saving throws by -4, which is massive, and can highly increase the chances of your Phantasmal Killer working even if you don't have greater spell focus into illusion yet. At level 9 you'll start getting more skill points. I just put them into perception, but you can even go with athletics if you want. For a level 9 feat, Heightened Spell, this can provide the ultimate spellbook flexibility by letting you get a lot more casts of basically any spell you have while also increasing its DC, great for spells like Phantasmal Killer, Grease and Glitter Dust as well. And you can pick any spell you want here. I just went with False Life and True Strike, but ideally you would have picked these from scrolls way before this. The same for Blur, by the way. For level 10, Combat Reflexes, as we're soon getting our Improved Critical feat, with basically almost all party members to truly get started on massive attacks of opportunity chains, and Nenio has pretty high dexterity. For level 5 spells, Echolocation. Animal Growth is great for buffing pets if you don't have Camellia, and Mind Fog can help a lot when it comes to reducing enemy saves for will spells like the illusion ones. For level 11, definitely Improved Critical and Bardiche, as at this point you can easily acquire the Death's Consonant Bardiche. Go with any other spells you want. The issue of the illusion ones as far as debuffs, outside of Color Spray and Phantasmal Killer, the other ones are kinda useless until Weird. You might as well just get Heightened Phantasmal Killer or Color Spray, which is why I got the feat. For level 6 spells, be sure to get Greater Heroism unless you have someone else that can cast it. There's also the Mass Animal buffs, I just have CAVALIER for them. You can wait to learn Hellfire Ray because at the early levels, it's not going to do much damage. You can certainly inflict much more damage from just melee hits. You might as well pick Transformation here too to increase Nenio's AB even higher at the cost of her spellcasting. This has low duration, however, so it's not like you'll be blocked forever from casting spells. Don't forget, because you went Eldritch Knight, you can achieve pretty high attack bonus in dragon forms as well, although I find the Bardiche better for the synergy with intelligence. But you know, if you want a dragon Nenio, you can pick Dragonkind 1, and the other dragon spells later on. For level 13, I'd go for Persistent spell. This is absolutely amazing for ensuring Phantasmal Killer hits, but it also costs 2 extra spell levels, so Phantasmal Killer will become a level 6 spell. Our Nenio will only learn level 6 spells at around level 12, which is why I pick Persistent now. Then any spell you want. There is something to be said about Cat's Grace, because most casters cannot get this one. It's usually arcane casters. For your bonus fit at 14, Weapon Focus Bardiche. For level 7 spells, 100% Ice Body to make Nenio immune to critical hits and ability score damage, and also Legendary Proportions, one of the ultimate buffs in the game for strength characters, including pets. Including Nenio herself, because this will give her even higher reach. Also do note that since Nenio can scribe scrolls when resting, whenever you create a scroll of Legendary Proportions, you will bypass the Dinosaur Bone requirement when casting it, which is great whenever you're resting, let's say, at the Citadel of Drezen. For level 15, as I'm going Lore Master, this is when I pick Skill Focus and Knowledge World to qualify for it. While you could potentially qualify for it earlier, I don't see much of a point. It is something you can do, however. Then you can go with any other spells here, including Dragonkind 2 and Firebrand. So at level 16, we finally get access to Lore Master. You'll also get more skill points. You can spend them into either Athletics, Perception or Persuasion. I just prefer Perception. For your first secret, I'd go for Combat Feat and Shatter Defenses. This also helps with Hellfire Ray, by the way. Plus, it is at this level that Nenio will get Prideful Aspect to fully combo with it. Then be sure to get Sea Mantle 2 as a second level 8 spell for the amazing AC buff it gives you. For your level 17 feat, Greater Spell Focus and Illusion. The reason I'm only picking this so late is because it is only at level 18 that our Nenio will learn the weird Ultimate Illusion instant kill spell. Then any spell you want, like Dragonkind 3. For another secret at 18, Rogue Secret. Opportunist, because this essentially gives Nenio an extra attack per round. And at last we can finally learn Weird. For another spell, honestly as Nenio, all of your level 9 slots will mostly be weird, if not all of them. Stuff like Heroic Invocation, leave it to Daron or Amber. The same for Foresight except Amber or Camellia, and as far as Fiery Body, we already have Ice Body. It really is all about weird. For a level 19 feat, you have two choices, either Greater Weapon Focus and Bardiche, or Weapon Specialization Bardiche. I'd rather go for extra damage now, as Nenio doesn't have that many sources of it, and we can get Mythic Specialization later. At level 20, be sure to increase Dexterity, and my personal pick for the last secret would be Cleric Spell, and then Divine Power because this is a massive boost to Nenio's AB. However, if you already have an Angel main character, they can provide Divine Power for the whole party, so this isn't as needed. In this case, you can pick anything else you want, including a Druid spell, or a last meta magic feat like Greater Spell Penetration, although it won't really matter for you at this point. Alright, now let's cover Mythic Progression for our Spell Sword Nenio. As always, for any full spellcaster, Abundant Casting is a must-have. As for Mythic Rank 2, Extra Mythic, and Improved Abundant Casting, as at this point your Nenio will already have level 4 spells, and soon to learn 5 and 6 ones. For Mythic 3, my personal preference is actually Ever Ready. As our Nenio is a fighter mage, she is built to benefit from attacks of opportunity, and at this point we already have the ultimate weapon for her, the Death's Consonant Bardiche. For Mythic 4, Mythic Critical and Bardiche. If you're wondering why I'm skipping Mythic Spell Penetration and also the Greater Spell Penetration normal feat, I will explain that in the gear section, but anyways, it also has to do with, like I said before, I don't think the illusion crowd control spells are that good until weird. For Mythic 5, Greater Abundant Casting, as at this point you already have level 7 spells. For Mythic 6, you have a few options. You can go with Mythic Improved Initiative or Mythic Spell Focus and Illusion. I'd rather go for Initiative now. For Mythic 7, I'd pick Master Shapeshifter if only because this has a lot of synergy with Nenio's race, because whenever she's in human form, she actually does get the +4 bonus to all physical scores, as it counts as a polymorph effect. You can of course pick this earlier if you prefer. The thing is, because we are going for an intelligence weapon, The only things we are getting from this is higher dexterity and constitution, which aren't that important as we are a reach character and also a spellcaster. For Mythic 8, either Mythic Spell Focus, Illusion, or Mythic Weapon Specialization, because at this point we already have the weird spell. I'd go for Mythic Focus. For Mythic 9 you can actually pick anything you want. I'll just go for Last Stand, as usual just in case. If you're wondering about Enduring spells, I don't think they are quite as useful for Nenio, but it is something you can invest to if you prefer. Instead of Mythic Initiative and Master Shapeshifter, you can easily get them here. Normal Enduring here and Greater Enduring at 7. Then for Mythic 10, Mythic Weapon Specialization 4+5 to damage. But if you picked Greater Weapon Focus, you can also pick Mythic Weapon Focus 4+2 to AB, including getting them at Mythic 8 instead, and switch Mythic Focus for 10. As always, I like to provide you with options. Alright, now let's cover Nenio's gear. For Amulet, the Glass Amulet of Clarity is the best, for the huge DC to mind-affecting spells, including our instant death illusion spells. For armor, you pretty much have to go with Haramaki's, otherwise you'll get Arcane spell failure. Divine Guidance is my favorite for the huge boost to saving throws, but there's also Deadly Race if you want to use Hellfire Ray with Nenio. For robes, ultimately the Robe of the Seven Sins, as a +3 to caster level means +3 to spell penetration, also a +1 to your spell's DC, and a massive +5 competence boost to spell penetration checks. So just this robe alone is +8 to spell pen. For the early game, however, be sure to go with the Robe of Inevitability, which you can get as early as Chapter 2 by buying it from Ogive, and later the Robe of Determination. Both give you a +2 bonus to spell penetration. For belts, at first belts that increase strength, but later on after you get your intelligence based weapon, just dexterity and constitution. For gloves, I like Twisted Temptation for the debuffing effect, which makes it easier to hit the enemies with our crowd control spells. For boots, there aren't really any special boots for most spellcasters, which is why I just went for the boots of Magical Whirl here. For headbands, at first headbands of intelligence, ultimately the Gnawing Magic headband, which also has a pretty nice stacking debuffing effect. For goggles, Mind Control are the best for any illusion caster, thanks to the +2 to your mind affecting spell DC. For cloaks, as usual, Cloaks of Resistance with the highest modifier. For rings, Magician's Ring is always a must-have for any illusion caster, thanks to the nice +2 boost to DC. And then the other ring is up to you. I like the Ring of Renowned Artisan. I think it fits Nenio thematically, especially as it also gives her a bonus to scroll crafting, which isn't really necessary, but you know. But there's always the Ring of Evasion as well. Even the Ring of Imminent Demise, if you want to increase her damage further. Alright, now let's get into our weapons and Quickslots. The star of the show is of course Death's Consonant, as it lets both your damage and AB scale based on intelligence. Plus as a Bardiche, it is also a rich weapon with decent critical range. Second, and this is when you want to cast offensive spells, the Quarterstaff of the War Mage for the further boost to DC and also the huge bonus to spell penetration. As for the very early game, since we get martial weapons proficiency pretty early, just go with any glaive or bardiche, once again because they are rich weapons. As far as Quickslots, a Greater Quicken Metamagic Rod, mostly to quicken weird when needed, the Grandmaster's Rod because it does actually let you bypass enemies' immunity to mind affecting spells and also fear, so that you can use your weird even against such enemies to instantly kill them. A Greater Persistent Metamagic Rod, you can actually find lots of these in the latest DLC, the Treasure of the Midnight Isles. It is very special in that it does let you persist weird, something that would not be possible otherwise. So even if the enemy saves at first, they'll have to roll twice and pick the worst result, which highly increases the chances of it working. Extend and Lesser Extend Metamagic Rods just to increase the duration of some of your buffs if needed. Lastly, the Covenant of the Inheritor Relic is here just to remind you that this also gives a +2 bonus to spell penetration. And just like the Robe of Inevitability, you can get it super early at the very start of Chapter 2 for both of these items. Part of the reason why I don't go with spell penetration, as for the end game, you have Zaori's Beauty to provide allied spellcaster to all the nearby allies, and you don't have to equip this on Nenio, it works on any other character, for a massive boost to spell pen. Well, alright friends, so this was it for my updated Nenio guide, which I also believe is the last of the main companions. If you found it useful, please be sure to like, subscribe and even consider becoming a channel member, as your support is highly appreciated. Thank you for watching and see you next time, friends.